Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you. Sorry about that. Appreciate that. No effects. Copper Horse. Good to see you. Dave G. Rescue all the dogs. Beth. Robin B. Christine. She Warrior. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Gail. Bunkarella. Hey, Andy. Let's try to stay on topic here in the chat. What's up, Jert? Yeah, I mean, it's crunch time. Jimmy Duvall. Yeah, they could be brothers. He was picked out of a lineup. He said, well, it doesn't look like Jimmy Duvall, but that's the closest one in the lineup. I always thought that was pretty interesting. Thin Mint, welcome in. Dave G says, I really thought he would take a plea, but obviously that's not happening. I don't know if obviously. I still think he will take a plea or change his plea. He could even change his plea the first week of trial. So I think if you take the word obviously out, I would agree with you, or tend to agree with you. But when you cover as many cases as I have, you have people who change their pleas the first day of trial. A lot of it depends on the jury. They get a vibe off the jury. But I know where you guys are coming from. You're getting antsy. You're getting impatient. Plus, everybody's quick to prove me wrong. Remember, guys, I don't need to be right. It's just a forecast. But don't get impatient. Do yourself a favor. And I said from the beginning, I hope this goes to trial. I hope that we get some answers. I just don't think that it will. I don't think it'll make it out of the first week of trial if it does. Look at that rushing water. Look how deep it is. These guys must be 8 feet tall. The water's 3.5 feet deep, according to the Franks memo. These guys must be giants. Yeah, that would make this guy right here 8 feet tall. Damn. I mean, I guess you'd have to be a giant to handle these rushing waters. I mean, look at these rapids. You have look at these white caps. Just looks overwhelming. How could anybody cross that creek? I mean, look at that undertow. I mean, you got people that sign up yearly to ride those rapids. And this is where Libby's clothing was found right here. And I'm assuming that piece, there's another, I think a sock or something somewhere around here. Maybe like right here. Hey, Copper Horse, the real dragon, Scarlet Letter, Beth. Sure. Richard Allen could go through almost to the end and change his plea. Yeah, there's really one more thing for him to wait for, and that's jury selection. His attorneys will advise him, like, "Hey, man, I don't think we got a good jury here. I don't think they're going to swing in our favor." Yeah, that's right, Thin Mint. And they're actually standing on the deepest part. If you look down here, this is where the sand. It's like a sandbar. But right before you get to the north side of the creek, that's the deepest point right here. They're standing in the deepest point, and it's not even up to their knees. Hey, Rescue. How did Richard Allen manage 5.5 years of looking over his shoulder? That really pulls at me. I think he was confident. He was confident for a reason. So he was with the girls for at least an hour and 30 minutes, physically with the girls. That's not including the time he was walking up the creek or, walking them down to the creek. Time of death between 2:30 and 3:30. So if he's with them for an hour and a half, whatever he did during that time period is what's making him confident. And I think that was him cleaning up. He took measures, he took steps. Either he knew that his DNA was not on the girls, he had possibly had gloves. But he was definitely confident. Even after the bridge guy video, I think he got nervous when the pictures came out, maybe even during the New Direction presser, but that didn't last long. Because the only people that could really tell the world, hey, that's my husband, that's my dad, that's my son, that's my pool buddy, they were all in denial. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, how is that possible? Well, the thing is if Richard Allen's a killer of these two beautiful girls and was able to do it in the middle of the day without leaving any DNA or any significant clues, I mean, you're really dealing with a monster. A monster like this can't just run around being a monster, right? He has to hide. How does a monster like that hide? Well, he becomes a master of manipulation. The Jedi mind trick.
See your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
Something like that. And I mean, listen to most of you and most of the people that support Richard Allen as being, a patsy. The one thing they all say is, oh, he couldn't have done this. He's a family man. He's too little. He's this, he's that. He has them convinced. Look how easy it is. You don't even know anything about Richard Allen, and you still tend to believe that it's not possible. And he hasn't even done his Jedi mind trick on you. So your first impression, and I'm not talking to all of you, I'm talking to the people who think that lean towards him being innocent or who aren't sure. A lot of your first impressions were, I don't see it. I can't see it. I don't see him as the bridge guy. The bridge guy is some giant 6'5" guy. So if you combine the manipulation, how he's been able to master, because if he's guilty, that's what he's obviously done. You don't just wake up one day and decide you're going to go be a killer of two girls. It's always been there. Either he has other victims or he's been able to contain the beast. But the beast is always there. There's only one way to hide it, and that's through manipulation. Good to see you, She Warrior. Gambies, what's up? Christine? Ryan, how are you? If you guys are drinking your coffee, cheers. Yeah, it is terrible, Dave. That's what got me into true crime was the Delphi murders. Watching Abby and Libby cross that bridge, those photographs. It shook me. It was right then and there I knew I had to learn everything I could about what I call, my enemy. Anybody who seeks to hurt children. I wanted to learn everything that I could about them. Because the scariest part is the fact that they are able to hide. Okay, let's focus right here. A lot of people say, well, nobody came forward. Nobody's ever come forward. Well, when they first reported that the bridge guy was now a suspect, I want you to look at this Facebook post here. This is a guy that was friends with Richard Allen and he played pool with him. So a lot of you say, well, nobody came forward to point at Richard Allen. Well, here's a good friend of Richard Allen right here. The same day that they announced that, because what happened was they showed a few photographs of the bridge guy and they said, well, he's not a suspect. He's, we're just trying to gather all the information about people who were out there. If you have photographs, we want to see them. And they kind of try, and they do this a lot. They try to trick him. Like, hey, this guy's not a suspect. We just want to talk to him. Not realizing that they already had. So they came out and media reported, hey, this guy's not a suspect. Law enforcement would just like to speak with him, ask him what he's seen. He obviously was on the bridge and the girls got a photo of him. And then they came out and said, well, this guy is officially a suspect. Well, once they did that, look what his buddy put on Facebook. Said, Channel 6, you need to let everybody know they have talked to this man and released him. WTHR updates this a while ago. He went to police. They have released him and he is not a suspect. This is a good friend of Richard Allen. So everybody keeps saying, why did none of his friends come forward? Well, they did. And you ask, well, if Richard Allen's guilty, why did he come forward? This is the reason why, guys. Master of manipulation. You don't just wake up and become a killer. There's something wrong with you. And you can't just hide something like that without going through certain steps throughout your life. What's up, Linda? So a lot of people say, well, of course Richard Allen's innocent. He came forward. He helped. He was trying to help with the investigation. But how many live streams do we have to do showing you time and time again that killers will come forward early on? Especially the disorganized ones. And that's pretty much how I've labeled Richard Allen or the killer, the Delphi murder. Very disorganized. We're not dealing with some cult ritual here. We're dealing with the disorganized killer, one bad decision after the other. And it's the disorganized killers that come back to the crime scene, that go talk with the media. They're trying to kill two birds with one stone. In this case, he killed three birds with one stone. He came forward so that he could use that as manipulation later towards his family and his friends, like this gentleman here, to steer the narrative and to also glean information about the investigation. Now, somebody that's that cocky, they're going to be extremely confident because they're taking what's referred to as countermeasures. Okay, you have this against me. Well, I'm going to do this, and that to counter those. And he was very successful. What's up, DD? All right. Hopefully you're having a great day. Happy Friday. So there you go, guys. Why didn't anybody come forward? It goes back to the whole Jedi mind trick thing. Richard Allen, he's in his mid 40s at this point in time. If he is the killer, he's obviously a sick person. And he spent his entire life trying to hide that fact. How do you hide that fact? By taking countermeasures. It worked on this gentleman. If he wouldn't have come forward, this guy right here would have probably have said something to law enforcement. You know, they may have even gave Richard Allen a hard time. Like, I don't know why they keep showing the bridge guy this, bridge guy that. Oh, it's just a strategy, you know. Law enforcement probably wants to manipulate the killer. And in some cases, they've done that. You know, with the smiley face killer, you had some false confessions. Some people came forward and took credit for the crimes. He got really upset about that. He got upset that somebody was taking credit for his handiwork. He was also leaving signatures and things at the crime scene that law enforcement didn't even notice, like little writings and things on the wall. So maybe he was telling his friends, well, they probably just want to make the killer, you know, piss him off. They're giving somebody else credit for his handiwork. They're obviously using me to do that. What's up, Shadow? Good morning, Cindy. Ooh, happy birthday. Here, I got something for you. Just bear with me a moment.
Happy birthday! Woo!
Woo! Be safe. What Toby Keith song is that? Sarah, good morning. I think he was comfortable because he burned most of the evidence in his fire pit and his what little was left in a shed no one else accessed. Yeah, I mean, he's not just confident, you know, he's not just blindly being confident. And he didn't get away for 6.5 years for no reason. TJ lost tip aside. What bothers me most is he kept his car for 5 years, the same one they saw on the Hoosier Harbor Store camera. CVS is like a block away from the sheriff's department. But remember, nobody knew about that. Nobody knew about the Hoosier Harvest Store video for a reason. Even when they did the new direction presser and they said, we're looking for somebody that was parked at the old CPS building. They never came forward and said, hey, we have this vehicle on camera. And they never admitted about anything about the gun. Why? Because they need that. They need to have those items in their possession so that they can test it for DNA and evidence. So if they would have mentioned, yeah, we got this vehicle on camera, he would have gotten rid of that car. I'm old. Yeah, this isn't the monster you're looking for. You're not the monster we're looking for. And and everybody's first impression about Richard Allen is, oh man. And that's why it's hard. It's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Because and for me as well, from the very beginning, I thought it was some kind of weird ritual killing. Trust me, I wanted to jump all over that. But we have to show some kind of self control, right? Just like with the Keegan Klein stuff. You think I don't want to jump all over that? You think I'm going to be surprised if they bring up Keegan Klein and his father? No. But without evidence, I don't want to waste my time on all of that. I don't want to put my blinders on. Because if anybody else is involved, Richard Allen's going to be the one to tell us. What's up, TC? I mean, look at the Green River Killer. He's somebody who, and here's an interesting fact about Gary Ridgway. All of the victims that he knew intimately and personally, he redressed them. So he murdered them and then he reclothed them. He put their clothes back on and then dumped their bodies. So anybody that he actually had a relationship with that he ended up killing, because he actually dated a couple of his victims. But he had girlfriends, he had wives, he had children, he had a son. I think his name was Michael or Mike. Welcome in, Trevin. Saying Richard Allen could have controlled 2 young girls. Just because he's 5'4" is borderline of victim blaming. Yeah, I never understood that. I don't care if you're a dog and you, well, I wouldn't go that far. Let's say you're a dwarf or a paraplegic, you're in a wheelchair or something. If you have a gun pointed at me and I believe that you're capable of pulling that trigger, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, they learn at an early age, TC. Purple Amaryllis. I don't see it from what I've heard of the evidence so far. Can't wait to hear the confessions and see what else. You don't see what? What is it that you don't see? And we don't know if he's 100% guilty. They need to prove that that's his bullet. We do need to hear those confessions. But you need legitimate probable cause to hold somebody the way that he's being held now. And that's the bullet. Sarah, he probably thought burning evidence would eliminate it and didn't know law enforcement could look at the chemical byproducts of the burns and determine what fibers they were. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that. What's up, Bird Brain? Brad, what's up? Yep. And he may have been confused by all the other stuff, and you're going to have Richard Allen kind of pushing him in the direction he wants him to go. He's most likely been doing that his entire life. Yeah, his name's Dan Howard. Well, everybody that tries to argue the fact that Dan Howard was friends with Richard Allen, all you have to do is go look at Kathy Allen's Facebook friends, and he's right there. So you can't be 100% on that. And how would he know that he came forward? So don't go spreading that kind of stuff if you don't know what you're talking about. Robin B. Exactly, sir. Remember, they didn't arrest him right away. They waited until they got the information back and the analysis on the unspent shell casing. Well, they did say that in the new direction presser. We've most likely interviewed you. Yeah, it's possible, Dave. But remember, just like Dan Howard, who was Richard Allen's friend, who knew that Richard Allen had come forward and spoken to law enforcement, you have to ask yourself, okay, if he's the bridge guy, they're looking for the bridge guy. I know the bridge guy is Richard Allen. You're also going to tell yourself, well, he already spoke to police. It's going to be very confusing. And you're going to be in denial anyway. Nobody wants to think that their friend, their brother, their son, their husband is the Delphi killer, right? There's just no way. And then you have the killer himself helping to push you away from those ideas through manipulation and manipulative tactics. Okay. I always like when people try to argue that. I guess I'll pull it up for you since you like spreading lies and shit. You're not the only one. Don't worry. It's funny how people. Sometimes I wonder if these are folks that actually know Richard Allen. But you're 100% wrong. And you can go watch the video. I think it's a Jonathan Lee Rich's video. But here is Kathy Allen's Facebook friends that's on that video, and you can take your own screenshots. Let's go right here to Dan Howard. I'm 100% sure that that's a different person. Well, there you go, dummy. Don't say you're 100% when you're not. I'm okay with I'm pretty sure. But here's Kathy Allen's Facebook Friends list. Who is that right there? This is the same guy that knew before anybody that Richard Allen had come forward, was interviewed by police and let go. Hello. So if you don't know, don't put it in my chat. That's going to be your only warning. Most likely, we can use words like most likely or from what I've gathered. But don't say you're 100% sure when you're not. Exactly. Welcome in, Steve. His lack of remorse aided his hiding in plain sight. Remember, we're talking about somebody, if he killed 2 little girls, he has no remorse. His motivation for killing the girls is to hide what he is to the only people that he cares about. He doesn't care about Abby and Libby. They're just objects to him. He's throwing them away like trash. He's only concerned with getting caught and being exposed for who he is. The monster. I let him slip out today. And a lot of people say, well, how did he go home and sleep? He went home. I guarantee he went right to bed that night. He had no problem sleeping. And if he had any trouble sleeping, it's because he thought maybe he left some loose ends. What's up, Phil? Roy Hinkley, what's up? Good to see you. Fabalash. Good morning. Charlotte, good to see you. Sherry Wilson, I'm still patiently waiting for the evidence. What evidence are you waiting for? What do you guys think about the fire pit? So when they searched his home, this fire pit had been buried and there had been some tomatoes. You can still see a remnants of some of the garden here and to the left. Yeah, this was not here. It had been buried and there was a few, there was a garden planted over the top of it. But when they searched Richard Allen's home, they dug up what used to be a fire pit. And when Kathy sold the home, guess what magically reappeared, right? Because it's a selling point. Oh, we got the fire pit in the back. Okay. So the girls are murdered. The fire pit disappears. The search warrant is served. They dig something out of the fire pit. And when the home is sold, the fire pit magically reappears. Very interesting. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Nana and NoFX, for sponsoring today's live stream. Sarah says there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that makes Richard Allen look like the right guy. Yeah, and circumstantial evidence is evidence. One being him claiming he was sorry for what he did to Abby, specifically, no mention of Libby whatsoever. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that Libby or Abby appears to be the only person that was redressed and is also the only person that he showed any remorse towards. And just like I said about Gary Ridgway, so she may have been the target. I told you guys I've always sensed some kind of inappropriate relationship. Just like Gary Ridgway, the only victims that he ever redressed I think were the two that he knew personally. But he murdered them, redressed them, and then dumped the bodies. Yeah, Thin Mint. A strange guy. Spends his day DMing prostitutes wherever he's at. Kind of a strange way to spend your retirement. So would you say that their killer redressed Abby because he knew her? If we have to say if he redressed her, she could have redressed herself. There was an hour and a half that he had to do these things. He could have redressed her. She could have redressed herself. But the two bras and, all the strange details that we've heard in the Franks memo, I believe that he did it. But I also believe that he could have intended to redress Libby as well. He just was unable to get to that. I feel like he was trying to hide the fact that this was an attempted sexual assault or a sexual assault. He was trying to mislead investigators, if they were dressed completely when they showed up, for all they knew, some other kids did this. But if their bodies were nude, it's obvious that somebody was intending to sexually assault them. That's the number one reason that you have, staging of the crime scene is to mislead investigators. Sometimes it's to shock people or to leave a message. But the majority of it is just to mislead. Welcome in yonder. A man can easily control children with a gun. You don't have to be a man. Remember, guns are the great equalizer. I don't care who you are. If you have a gun pointed at me and I don't really know who you are, what you're capable of, I'm going to buy my time. I'm going to wait for the opportunity. I'm not just going to come at you or try to run because you might shoot me right in the back. Yep, that's true, Sarah. Israel Keys had a daughter. During his interviews, that's all he cared about. He said, I'll tell you guys everything you want to know as long as my daughter never finds out. And the second that details from his interviews were leaked to local media, he stopped talking. Exactly. It's like camouflage, Charlotte. That's why they have families. Gary Ridgway said it all the time. He said he would open up his wallet. He would pick up girls, and to make them feel comfortable, he would kind of show them his ID, knowing damn well that a picture of his son was right there in his wallet. They thought that they saw the child, and they lowered their guards. Ryan says, if the girls had just run, how likely would it have been for him to actually shoot and draw attention with residents nearby? I think that he could have shot them and nobody would even have known. I don't think anybody was around there. But it's not about what he could have or should have done. It's about what he was thinking at that very moment. And he knew damn well, even though I'm threatening them with this gun, if I pull that trigger, they're going to know where I'm at. I'm going to draw attention to myself. Because he doesn't know who's there now. He just knows that nobody was on the trails when he abducted the girls. because he walked the entirety of the trail. He may have even known that the Webbers were out of town. But I believe he wanted to use that gun. But also, he knew in the back of his mind if he pulls that trigger, he's going to draw a lot of attention to himself. But I also believe that if he would have used the gun, he still would have gotten away. Hey, Nana. Hey, what's up, Big Fish? Got him. Yeah, don't say 100% if you're not 100%. It's okay. Everybody's opinion is welcome here. But you're not going to spread BS in my chat. Sorry. What's up, Karen G? The big G. Hey, wife Lilith, how are you? The Allens are also close friends with the LaFons. Remember the LaFon dad statement about seeing a few people he knew out there? Or something along those lines about not seeing anybody he didn't know? Yeah, I remember the LaFons. They were dragged. Who was it? Who was that guy? His name, I think, was Dexter. That's what he called himself. He accused them of being the killers. And he kind of looks a little bit like Richard Allen. When you say he spoke to police, it always throws me off. When did he speak to law enforcement other than the conservation officer when the crime occurred? Well, that is police. Dan was police. Yeah, Funkarella. And there may be other victims. I mean, if he went through the steps that he went through and was able to get away for 6 years in this crime, who's to say he didn't take those same steps and get away with other murders? We've learned a little bit about Richard Allen and the fact that he traveled a lot. I think he even went to Illinois, right? To go work at Walgreens. I think he was going all over the place, traveling, staying in hotels and stuff. What's up, Cheeks? Yeah, they interviewed him on the 13th and then again on the 26th and then arrested him on the 28th. What's up, Growing Crazy? Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope everything's well with you. Thank you for saying that. I mean, he's basically proven or admitted that he is the bridge guy, Dave G, which is huge in my book. So, although I'm convinced that he very well could be the killer, he still has to officially admit to it, or they have to officially prove it in a court of law. I haven't seen the bullet, I haven't analyzed it myself. So they're going to have to prove or convince a jury that that is his unspent bullet casing. Because that's what ties him to the crime scene. Hey, Augie. Good morning to you. Well, he did come forward, none of your business. He actually called the tip line. He called the tip line and said, "Hey, I was there." And he called on the 15th. He said, "I was there that day. I can tell you what I saw." They called him back and said, "Hey, can I meet? Can we meet with you?" They met at a local grocery store right up the street from Richard Allen's home. And I don't know if he was alone. He could have been with his wife and his daughter. Like, "Yeah, we're going grocery shopping. I'll meet you over there." You know, he may have even been. A lot of killers, they wear their family like camouflage. So maybe it was by design. That's why I don't blame, even though I do blame Dan Doolin for overlooking this, you have to look at these killers as master manipulators. They're very proactive, they take countermeasures. So if Dan Doolin overlooked this tip, which we don't know the facts about that yet, but if he did, it's not just his fault. We're dealing with this psychopath, right? If he killed these two girls, he's probably a psychopath. And if he's able to hide in plain sight with no remorse, there's another sign that he's a psychopath because he went home and nothing even seemed off about him. And the fact that he was able to come forward and not show any emotion, he wasn't even shooken up about it. Everything points to him being a psychopath. Yeah, Cheeks, and one of the bras was a sports bra. So I don't know if that means anything. They said there was a black bra that was traditional, and then over the top of it was a sports bra. Yeah, he didn't approach Dan Doolin. They set up a meeting. He called the tip line, and then that's where they decided to meet. Welcome in. TRPP's True Talk. 13 days away from the trial. I still don't believe Richard Allen will make it out of that first day of trial. They're going to have the jury selection. And then I believe the 17th is like a Thursday. They'll have Thursday and Friday. Yeah, the 17th is Thursday and Friday. And I think that Monday or that Tuesday, if he doesn't plead out by then, I don't think he will. But he could. But I don't think it's going to make it to the 22nd. I think it really depends on the jury. I think they want to get a good look at this jury, and that'll be their final ingredient to the decision that they make. May not go their way. And his team will tell him like, "Hey man, I'm not feeling too comfortable about the jury that we have here. It's my duty to advise you that I'm not comfortable with the jury that we have." I've seen that happen in a lot of cases that we've covered. The jury selected, and then all of a sudden you have a plea deal. And that's if the prosecutor has the plea deal on the table. A lot of times once the trial starts, they'll pull it. Egos are a big part of anything that happens with human beings. You always have that ego. Like, I gave you the opportunity, You should have taken the opportunity while you could have. DD was law enforcement. 100% he was police. Conservation officer is police. Yep, 100%. They just have a different jurisdiction. They're like park rangers here where I'm from. And park rangers are definitely police. They are law enforcement. Thank you, Copper. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Go share this on your social media if you can. Well, you have to take some personal responsibility, none of your business, for assuming things. You can't blame other folks because you're assuming or filling in the gaps on your own. That's not my fault. Sarah says, I really think it's possible he slipped by for so long because his info was miswritten. Possibly Rick Whiteman on Allen Drive, for example, easy mix up. And I also think it's possible that Richard Allen may have said something like that. He may have provided that information, knowing damn well if he was confronted about it later, he can be like, no, like you made an error. I told you my name was Richard Allen, Richard Matthew Allen, and I lived on Whiteman Drive. But really, he could have told him my name is Richard Whiteman. But I'm assuming that it was an error. But I'm just saying that's what these folks do. Thank you, Growing Crazy. And just the fact that he came forward tells me that he's being proactive. Because isn't it better for you to come to law enforcement as opposed to them coming to you? That might be grounds for a search warrant. What's up, Tinfoil? Fire and Ice had a pretty crazy thing mentioned on their lives 2 nights ago, having to do with Richard Allen supposedly calling into a podcast, YouTube live show about the case. You know what? There was discussion about this early on, but it wasn't Richard Allen. I think it was Kagan Klein. I think he called into a podcast and was talking to them about the case. But I could be wrong. But I do vaguely remember something about that. So if anybody can pinpoint that podcast, I mean, that's pretty interesting. What's up, Diane? I just don't think this is Richard Allen's first rodeo. I mean, you could be right. So this was the day of the search. No fire pit. They dug up where the fire pit was. When Kathy sold the home, she redug up the fire pit because it looks good, right? On your Zillow listing or whatever. It's a selling point. Also, what's going on with this shed back here? It's going to be a lot of information that's provided during this trial. Hey, Stacy. Good morning to you. Jojo, welcome in. I heard that the same gun the cops are using too. Is that true? I don't know. I don't know how many of those officers are using a 6 Sauer P226. Typically, it's a Glock. But I have a feeling these cops can use whatever firearm they want. TJ says, I'm holding out a very slight glimmer of hope that this investigation wasn't a huge cluster. Well, it already has been a success. Remember, they've spent 2 years looking for technicalities, and people like David Hennessy, that's what they're known for. I mean, the case that we covered that was mentioned recently in some of the documents, the guy, they called him the babyface killer. He was 16 years old. He took three men out to the woods to show them, I think it was Glock switches, basically turns your handgun into a machine gun. Showed them, took them out there to show them the Glock switch and then killed them. Well, cops apparently violated his Fourth Amendment rights during the process, and they had to let him go. And it was David Hennessy who found that and was able to exploit it. Now, that's not David Hennessy's fault. That's the investigation's mess up. So, to me, the fact that they didn't find any issues like that so far is a huge success. The integrity of the investigation is intact. That's what these delays have always been about. And that's what I tried to tell you guys from the beginning. If Richard Allen was innocent, we'd be looking at a speedy trial. We would already been done with this a year ago. But what they're looking for is they need to buy time so that they can find any error in the investigation if he's had his rights violated. Because then they can get a search warrant thrown out. They can get certain pieces of evidence thrown out. It's called fruit of a poison tree. You can't hold something against a criminal while you're doing something illegal at the same time to obtain that. It's fruit of a poison tree. So that's what they're looking for. They didn't find it. So to me, so far, so good that it's not a clusterfuck. So you got to give them some credit. And they try to tell you that throughout the process. Doug Carter saying, this is only half the battle. Once we find our suspect, then we have to go through the trial process and get a conviction. And when you have people like Rosie and Baldwin, if there were any mess ups with this investigation, they would have found it. And that's why they brought in assistance from David Hennessy. That's his specialty. He's been successful in a few cases with getting his clients off on technicalities. So these are photographs that the neighbor took and provided them to Fox News. He said that they had some type of machinery and they were walking over the ground and they dug up a couple of holes, and I'm assuming that's what this is. Some people suspected it was the cat, where they buried the cat. I'm not quite sure what they were digging up. Maybe it was buttons, to a jacket or something. But they could have been looking up, trying to find where they buried the cat. I'm not sure. But he said they weren't digging long. They were searching. They were using machines that looked like metal detectors. He said they dug a couple small holes. It didn't take very long, and then it appeared that they found what they were looking for. So this is what makes me suspicious of Kathy, is that the fire pit's gone, right? If she knows that Richard Allen was there that day, and for whatever reason, she knows that maybe she was even with him when he went and spoke to Dan Doolin. So she has every reason to believe, like, okay, he's come forward. He's did everything he's supposed to do as a citizen to help. He's told them what he knows. But what about the fire pit? Because the moment that she sold the home, she redug the fire pit and used it as a selling point. So you'd think that she would ask herself, why are we concealing the fire pit? Why are we hiding that? Hey, cheeks, that's exactly how we would wear our bras. Some girls would wear a normal bra and then a sports bra over it. Just gives more support and it makes it more comfortable when you're running and moving. And remember, they were playing baseball the day before. And she's wearing the same clothes as she was Sunday. So she was playing baseball with her grandfather. And then later in the day, Anna took them to Riley Park. And Riley Park is right up the street from Richard Allen. So I don't know if maybe Richard Allen was there at Riley Park. Maybe he overheard them talking. Maybe he was, for all we know, he knows Anna Williams. We know that they have mutual friends. There's somebody that is really good friends with Anna and Anna's father, who is Abby's grandfather, and is really good friends with Richard Allen. They have a mutual friend. And we're not talking an acquaintance, we're talking a good friend. So maybe he was at Riley Park and Richard Allen just happened to be with him. The girls are talking about trying to make it to the bridge on Monday. So we don't need Anthony Shots for Richard Allen to target these girls and to have information about them going to the trails. Because even during the investigation of Keegan Klein, they asked him, like, hey, is it possible that you may have mentioned, like, hey, the girls were going to the trails and you just kind of told somebody or said it out loud and they went to the trails? They asked him that. Funkarella says anybody who can show their face, work in the community, act normal after doing what he did is 100% a psychopath. And that's what Steve was talking about. He's saying that's how he was able to hide in plain sight because he's not a normal person, right? Anybody else, it would be eating them up inside. The guilt alone would be unbearable. I mean, if I get into an argument with my friend, the guilt, it'll eat you up. You know, you got to reconcile. Like, hey, you know, I'm sorry about that. Let's bury the hatchet. But in this case, he just went about his business. And also, psychopaths, they think that they're smarter than everybody else. Very rarely are they. I don't know why his house wasn't searched right after his talk with Doolin. They searched other houses. Yeah, that's a good point. But I think the reason that they didn't search his house was because he came forward. He wasn't at the top of the list. You know, he's doing everything that an innocent person would do, which is a countermeasure that a guilty person also may do. And remember, they've told us time and time again, they've never dealt with any type of investigation like this before. Oh, there's the gentleman right there. Tony Nebergall is his name, I believe. He's the gentleman in the Punisher shirt. So if you, I don't know if it's still up, but he's at a baseball game on Anna Williams' Facebook page, and he's sitting there with her and her father. And he was also arrested October of 2016 for having a party with underage kids. And one of Libby's good friends, Kyle Smith, was arrested at that party for underage drinking. And he was arrested for resisting arrest and providing alcohol to minors. So I don't know if he was convicted on that or what, but it was in October of 2016, shortly before the murders. So this guy could be bringing the fox into the hen house unknowingly. Good friends with Anna and her father. Doesn't mean that she's friends with Richard Allen, but he could be tagging along, overhearing. Yeah, that's a good point, Cheeks, that you make about the sports bra. Because, I mean, she was literally wearing the same clothes that she was the day before. And she had just gone shopping with her grandfather. He came into town, bought her a bunch of baseball gear that could include a sports bra. So I think that's a really good point that you bring up there. They spent all day playing baseball at Riley Park. So was Richard Allen, did he show up at the park? Sarah, where did you hear that? That's what I'm saying. If you don't know for a fact, let's try to stick to the facts. Because from my understanding, and I do have law enforcement that's in my family, they're allowed to pick which weapons they. At one point he had a Beretta. So even though you have your theories about it possibly being a cop or whatever, doesn't mean you need to skew the facts. Yeah, you can't just serve a search warrant. You need probable cause. And it's hard to get probable cause just because you're at the trails that day. Especially if you come forward, it's not like you're hiding. Like, oh, I don't know if you can get a search warrant just because you happen to be at the trails around the time the girls went missing. But they definitely would ask. Brad for Brad Weber's property, I don't even think they needed a search warrant. They got permission from the homeowners. Kay Weber. She was in Arizona at the time. They met with her at a McDonald's, sat down, said, "Hey, look, this is the situation that's going on. Can we search your home?" She said, "Yeah, you have full access." They took all the clothes, they took all of the guns, and they took a Sig Sauer, 40 caliber Sig Sauer from that home. But when they tested it, guess what? It didn't match. Because if it did match, Brad Weber would be in custody. Hey, Courtney, what's up? I've grown to this case so much living in Indiana and living an hour away. This case pulls my heartstrings. Augie says, I don't see why the police didn't examine the sticks placed on the girls. One may be possibly cut by the woodworking tool. Sounds like evidence to be processed in the lab. Well, they did take it in, but I think it was like a week or two after. But I agree. But at the same time, and I do agree that they made some mistakes, but I don't think they thought it was some kind of a ritual. But yeah, they should have collected those sticks right away. If just for the fact to gain DNA evidence. But eventually they did get the sticks, but I agree with you on that. I agree. Yep, exactly. There you go. None of your business. Says, yep, look at what happened to Logan. He didn't come forward on his whereabouts, and they immediately focused on him. Coming forward is a strategic move. Yep, it's very proactive. It's better you come to them than they come to you. And all that's going to do is build his confidence. If he's the guilty man, if he's the killer, his confidence level is sky high at that point. Because not only is he appearing to be innocent, he's gathering information. You know, he's injecting himself into the investigation. He's able to steer the narrative. Yeah, and I still don't believe that, Miss Smala. I still don't believe that. You know, they say, oh, we found the lost tip narrative, or Tony Leggett was handed a lost tip that was discovered in the Orion system. Well, when they found that tip, they were searching the Wabash River. So, in order, you need a magnet to find that needle in a haystack, or something that burns down all of the hay to where that needle is just laying there. So something had to intervene into this investigation for them to find that lost tip. Whether it was like a Paul Holes who said, hey, I know you guys started from the beginning, but you need to go to the beginning of everything. So something happened. There's something really strange going on with the Dan Doolin tip. And right now, I think he's taking the blunt of the criticism. And then later on, you know, we'll all be eating crow about it. I think there's a piece of information about that. They're protecting either a witness, they're protecting a CI, they're protecting somebody provided Richard Allen's name. So when they typed it into their system, it pulled up that tip, that lost tip, from a file that it shouldn't have been in for whatever reason. You know, they both blamed each other. Investigators blamed the FBI blamed them. So in order to find this lost tip in a file that it shouldn't have been in, somebody needed to type in Richard Allen's name, or even the name Richard. And then boom, now they have reference on it. It pulls the needle right out of the haystack. It's like a magnet. They didn't just reach their hand into that pile of hay and say, oh, we got lucky. Here it is. I found it. Smack dab in the middle of the Wabash River search. It was the 4th week. Richard Allen was in custody within a month. His home was searched. He was interviewed twice, and he was in custody. So there's something more there that we just haven't heard yet. There's some details about that we don't know. Tinfoil says they were saying it was Richard Allen, one of the guys that had some kind of decent source, said he called in and talked about 3 specific things. One of them being the boots taken from the Indiana Packers. Well, I just proved that it was false, so. He said that he didn't know Richard Allen, and I pulled up Kathy Allen's Facebook friends, and there he was. I don't care where he lives. I never said that they played pool in a league together. So if you can't accept the information, that's fine. But I just proved to you that the guy, this Dan Howard character, is Facebook friends with Kathy Allen. And he knew that Richard Allen had come forward. I can't spoon feed this all to you guys. So if you can't accept it, that's fine. Thank you, Growing Crazy. But to say that he didn't know Richard Allen that's a bold-faced lie. So you can go somewhere else with that. Yeah, I think more what you meant was we're dealing with these investigators who don't they've never seen this. It's more of like they're rookies. You know what I mean? Like they're rookies to this. And did they make some mistakes? Hell yeah. But I think the most important thing is not to screw up so bad that they're able to let Richard Allen out of jail, or they're losing evidence that they obtained through a search warrant, things like that. Yeah, that's what they said. Jojo, welcome in, by the way. Augie says you can't have a speedy trial when the judge throws out your lawyers and you have to fight to get them back on, causing huge delays. Well, that was rectified pretty quickly. So, my only response to that would be, why didn't they go for the speedy trial after they were reinstated? That was like a year and a half ago. Yeah, Augie, if you're innocent, you're not going to give prosecution a year and a half or 2 years to come up with time to build a case against you. That's just not what innocent people do. That's what guilty people do. Hey, Mother of Dragons. How do you know that, Mother of Dragons? What makes you say that? I'm sure they're issued firearms, but it doesn't mean that they can't pick their own at some point. Because I know for a fact that they can. At least in some cases. I don't know about Indiana or whatever. But here in Arizona, I know for a fact that they can pick their own weapons. Or they may have a short list to pick from. Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of talk that somebody close to him may have tipped him in. But right now, that's just rumors. But I keep hearing that. Why do you say that, Augie? Because of the third party suspects? Well, first of all, there's no nexus. So there's not grounds for appeal on that. Jojo, the gun police use in Indiana, according to Google AI, is a 6-hour P226. According to Google AI? Yeah, you might be right. Like I said, I only know what I've seen. And here, well, at least in the small town that my uncle worked in, he was able to select his own firearm. None of your business says the Delphi police used a Glock 41 until 2023. So I'm sure you're issued a firearm, but I think you may be able to, replace it or use whichever firearm you're comfortable with if you're paying out of your own pocket. But they have to issue you something. So I'm not saying that law enforcement's not issuing firearms. Welcome in 49ers Mama. Welcome in. They carried 45 caliber Glock, 41, but holsters were a pain to find, so they switched in 2023. I was just trying to wonder, like, where you're going with this. Like, what difference does it make if law enforcement carries a P226? Well, she had just joined the baseball team, and I'm sure she had a list. She got a bat, she got a glove, some balls, and a baseball bag, and I'm sure she got a sports bra. Hey, what's up, Brett? Wife Lola says, I just received an eerie letter from KK on Monday. I'm afraid our system in Indiana is broken beyond repair at this point, to be honest. What was eerie about it, Wife Lilith? Are you able to tell us a little bit more about that? How many people did he kill? I'm not familiar with this case. Well, there's two victims, Abby and Libby. And right now he's just he's in custody being accused of being the killer. He's admitted to being there. He admitted to being there at the time that the girls were kidnapped. He has no alibi. They don't seem to have any DNA linking him. I could be wrong about that. But he pretty much puts himself as the bridge guy. Witnesses who saw him say that the guy that they saw is the guy on the bridge. And the people who say that they saw the bridge guy, he also admits to seeing them. So he pretty much admits to being the bridge guy. And they have Libby's video of the bridge guy kidnapping them. You know, the whole guys down the hill. And the girls yelling, he's got a gun. So that's where we're at. And then they found the unspent bullet at the crime scene. And they're saying they're able to connect it to Richard Allen's firearm. Yeah, autocorrect can be a pain. Yeah, I mean, it's not like she's going to take her grandfather into the bra section. She's going to go grab it and, you know, throw it in the cart. Hey, Pipers. Thank you for saying so. Thanks, Copper. Yeah, big thank you to all of you who have been donating to the Cash App. You know, we're doing a giveaway this month, probably maybe this weekend. I'm not sure, but it's people that are donating that make that possible. So thanks for sponsoring the Sleuth Intuition channel. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Pipers. I mean, people can make all the excuses they want for Richard Allen, but the truth is, the last thing he's wanted is a speedy trial. And when you're innocent, why would you give the prosecution more time to come up and develop a case against you? That's not what you do as an innocent person. As an innocent person, you say, "Oh, I did this. All right, let's go to trial right now, and you prove to this world that I did this. You don't wait for more victims to come forward. You don't give the investigative team more time to dig up dirt on you. That's just not how it works. Welcome in, nicely done. Looks like they weren't organized. Richard Allen came forward before the bridge got. Yeah, they definitely weren't organized. And before the first press conference. Yeah, not to mention the debacle with the sketches. But you got to remember, if we're dealing with somebody who's, taking their time and really thought about what they need to do to hide evidence and to get away with the crime, you're dealing with you're dealing with that as well. Give me a second, guys. I got to go do something. All right, I'm back. Thank you, guys. But yeah, nicely done. Yeah, I'm definitely not here to stick up for the investigators. They allowed somebody who came forward on the 15th who now they're calling their number one suspect, who's in custody now, to go free for 6.5 years. Their best help was the FBI. They're the ones that came forward with the profile, who said it was probably somebody that was most likely local because of the location. So, and then they kind of kicked them to the curb. Like, oh, we don't need you anymore. But really, I think that was their best help. And we were dealing with, I think, some rookie investigators in the sense that they had never seen anything like this. Not that they were rookies or that they couldn't do their job, but that when it comes to a crime of this magnitude, I think they were a little wet behind the ears. What's up, Candy's Land? Look at the BTK. He got away with all of those murders for years. Yeah, Rex Heuermann too. And had a family, and no one had any clue. Yep, I agree with that. Because if you're some kind of loner and you got like satanic tattoos all over your face and you just look like a scumbag, I mean, you're going to be a suspect. These guys, they like to fancy themselves as some Hannibal Lecter type, right? Like, to take Gary Ridgway, for example. He said he was going out of his way to be the most prolific serial killer. That was his goal. He said, I'm going to get 100 victims this year. He said that in an interview. Exactly. She Warrior says they had a chance for a speedy trial and refused to use it. Instead, they created more delays. And why? Because they were looking for a technicality. They even brought in David Hennessy to assist with that. That's his specialty. He's been successful. Ava says, welcome in, Ava. California has a list, but picking depends on rank. Yeah, you might be right because he was a high-ranking officer. And I don't know. I'm just saying. Don't say if you don't know. It's that easy to say, I'm not sure, but I think. But to say, oh, well, I 100% know this, and that, when you don't know, that's usually when you're going to get some pushback from me. It's very simple to just say, in my opinion, or from what I've gathered, or, the best of my knowledge. Jojo says, I find it interesting that most of his lawyers really believe he is innocent. They don't believe that. It's their job to say that. It doesn't matter what they believe. And as far as Scremin and whatever his name is, they're going to play ball, even though they're not his attorneys and they were only brought in momentarily. If they say, hey, I think this guy's innocent, they're kind of ruining it for his current defense team. So if you're ever planning on working with them in the future, that's not a very smart thing to do professionally. So it's not like they really believe that he's innocent. They're representing him as if he is innocent. That's their job. Sarah says, Sleuth, you never saw that somebody happened to say, I think law enforcement also carried the same gun. Yeah. And I even believe that you might be right. I just don't know. Like, I'm not even disagreeing with you. It's just the fact that you're stating things as a fact. And if you want to prove it as a fact, all you have to do is, cite your source or send me an email and we'll put it up on the screen. Short list of approved alternatives that the department allows. His lawyers know he's guilty. I don't know if they know that. Even if they did know it or believed it, they still are going to defend him. Because if his rights were violated, that's a big deal. And that's why these investigators have to be extremely careful about the way they proceed. That's the last thing that they want. What's up, Mustang?
They practiced it. They were considered dabblers in it. But actually, this being a cult crime, I have my doubts.
Wiccans or, whatever umbrella you fall under is usually going to be women.
Thing about Wiccan sacrifices. I don't know a thing about anything like that.
Who knows that you're Wiccan?
Nobody. I'm a solitary practitioner. Nobody knows that I'm a Wiccan.
If you know about the blue moon and all that kind of stuff, you do.
Well, I know about the blue moon. I know it's full moons, but I mean, it's been all over the radio.
Like I was explaining.
Let's go to Augie. He says, I listened to your chat with Bob Modesluth. He detailed the reasons in the case as strong case for appeal. Yeah, but he also said that there was a nexus. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to identify people's bias and dissect it from the conversation. And him being a defense attorney, he also believes that the phone was turned on. There's no proof of that. So just because he's a defense attorney, I'm not going to follow him blindly, but I'm definitely going to listen to him because he knows 100% more about the trial process and the law. So I'm listening, but I'm also identifying the bias in people. You have to be able to do that. You can't just follow people blindly. I don't care if they're a genius or 60 years in the field. People, it's called the human element. It's a variable. So when you're talking, including me, so right now you have to be able to dissect the bias in what I'm trying to convey to you. And when it comes to Bob Mata, he's completely biased. He says that there is a nexus, but yet when I asked him what it was that didn't involve speculation, he wasn't able to do that.
Tell you about the Wiccan ritual. They cover them to keep them warm after they kill them.
I don't know nothing about no ritual like
Was that he had attended some satanic cult type meetings. The animals had been killed and eaten by the members.
The investigators are going to look at the motive for why she was killed. And if there was any kind of satanic reference at the crime scene, or now that they figure this is the suspect in the homicide, was that suspect aligned with some kind of satanic ideology?
So like I'm the West Memphis boogeyman. Little kids will be looking under their bed before they go to bed. Damien might be under there.
Kate B says he won't get an appeal if the evidence against him is solid. Yeah, he can try to get an appeal, but the fact is they failed to create. Everybody says that this is a practice trial because they didn't allow in the third party, all the alternative suspects. Well, there's rules to it. Even if Gall wanted to add the third party suspects, she can't do it. There are absolutely guidelines to adding those them as third party suspects. For one, there has to be a nexus, and there absolutely wasn't. And none of it can be based on speculation. It can't waste the court's time. It can't It can't create make the jury over emotional and take away from the facts of the case. And none of that fit into it. Even if she wanted to, she couldn't allow that in. It didn't fit into the guidelines that were needed. There absolutely was no nexus. Everything was based on speculation. Trust me, if there was something that tied this whole Odinism thing to the Delphi case, I would change my my position in a heartbeat. Before Richard Allen's arrest, that's all we talked about, is how this is probably some kind of a ritualistic murder, that there were signatures and there was this, and that. You think I didn't want to jump all over that? But I have to be honest with myself. Same goes with the Anthony shots. You think I'm going to be shocked if somehow that pops its head up in the middle of the trial and they prove that it's connected? Absolutely not. But right now, if I can't wave it around and show it to you guys, you're not going to hear me back it up. Same goes with this case. In the middle of the trial, if they can prove that there's a nexus between any of these third-party suspects in the crime scene, it will be allowed. It will then become part of the trial. But right now, there's not going to be any kind of an appeal based on these third-party suspects because there is no nexus. Everything is based on speculation. Is it interesting? Yes. Is it built on a solid foundation? Absolutely not, because it's all subjective. There's no way, we've looked at the sticks, the positioning of the sticks. There's no way to prove that those are runes. Yeah, the one on the the sticks that were over Abby, it's a little bit easier to say, yeah, but I mean, that's just such a natural positioning. But nobody can say anything about the stick placement over Libby. Even the expert, Perlmutter. You notice that she only came forward and was like, oh, yeah, the sticks over Abby or this, and that. But she wouldn't touch what was going on with the sticks on Libby because it goes against her narrative. So if you can't prove that those are runes, you can't prove that this was a ritual. Just like Libby's palm print on that tree. Everybody tried to call it an F. You have some people referring to it as an upside down L. But everybody who the blood spatter experts say that no, it's a palm print. And even we determined that early on before any of that came out. We even said, hey, it's a left hand palm print. And I don't know shit about that. Kate B. Kathy said that to a group of people at the hearing. That wasn't it's recorded on tape. Have you seen the tape? Nicely done says, I wonder if law enforcement has Richard Allen's computers and phones. Yeah, they do. They took 2 laptops. Here, I think I have the evidence list here. I could be wrong. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I obviously didn't label it correctly. Usually I can just find the stuff by typing it in here. And I was looking at them recently, so I know I have them. I just don't know where they're at. Oh, maybe it's here. Hold on. Maybe it's in the gold document drop. Oh, yeah, here it is. All right, let me close out all these other ones so it doesn't overwhelm my computer here. See here. So they pulled out during the search warrant a sealed cardboard box containing 1 black 6-hour P226 40 caliber, plastic bag containing a 40 caliber cartridge, sealed plastic bag, 40 caliber, stuff pertaining to the gun, wooden weave box containing 2 audio Vox devices. Silver Motorola flip phone. Sealed plastic bag containing one Lexar compact flash, 1 gigabyte memory card. Pair of dirty Thorogood boots. Size 7.5. Yeah, this dude's got tiny feet. Paper bag, dirty boots, size 6.5. Silver double-edged knife. Silver folding knife. Black sheath containing gold and silver folding knife. But yeah, I know that there's some laptops in here. See, jacket with red stripes, Adidas. We've seen him wear that in some photographs. Blue sweatshirt, black and green Fox hooded sweatshirt. A lot of people think that that's what he's wearing the day of the murders, and that white image is the Fox emblem. I think Monsters Under the Bed made a video about that. Black and gray North End coat, blue Carhartt coat, Timberland boots, size 8, blue jeans, winter gray hat with fur-like fibers, UFC hoodie, another sweatshirt, Kenneth Cole sweatshirt. Of course, it's going to be right at the end. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sealed cardboard box containing 1 HP Pavilion laptop. Multiple headbands. Miscellaneous cellular information. Empty ammo box. Flash drive. Digital hard drive. Samsung phone. Katana. Miniature katana. Fillet knife. Another knife. External hard drive. iPod, another SD card, vehicle chargers, outlet chargers, laptop charger. I think there is another laptop in here somewhere. LG flip phone, Verizon smartphone, another phone, another Motorola phone. Older cell phones, 1 AudioVox, 1 Nokia, 1 Motorola. Street Pilot C340 device, 2 cards, documentation. Motorcycle cover bag containing a motorcycle cover. Aquafina water bottle. Okay, so maybe just 1 laptop, unless I missed it. But there you go. Hey, what's up, Jill? Lila says, he just said, you've known me for a few years, you know the truth, and he hopes I'm okay and to take care of myself. With his name, that was it. 2 lines. It's eerie to me because I know what he's implying. Yeah, that's true, Mustang. Because even when I was interviewing this guy, Julian Powell, right? A lot of people, he was kind of like an online suspect. And when I interviewed him, he admitted that he was there the day that the girls were killed. He admitted to being there at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So he became very interesting, and it was very difficult to get law enforcement involved. I did get a call from Tony. Was it Tony Leggett? Yeah, I got an email from him the following day after my interview. He said, "Hey, I saw your interview with this gentleman. Can I stop?" He didn't even know that I wasn't living in Indiana. He's like, "Can I stop by and get a copy of it?" I said, "Well, I don't live in Indiana. I live in Arizona." And he said, well, can you send me a copy? I said, yeah, I'll put it on a disc and I'll send it to you right away. And then I didn't hear anything about it. And then I had to go through, then I reached out to um, Indiana State Police Peru post and I asked them about it. They said, we haven't heard about it. And I said, well, this is what's going on. I don't know if you guys have followed up on it. There's been a guy that's, he's kind of labeled as an online suspect, but now he's come forward in an interview and told me that he was there that day. Have you guys followed up with him? And he's also been interviewed by you guys, and he even tipped in his father-in-law. Like, he accused his father-in-law of being the bridge guy. And that's how investigators originally were onto him. That's why they interviewed him, because they actually began to suspect him. But they took his hair, they took his blood. So I don't understand why they're taking DNA and all this if they don't have Richard Allen's DNA connected, because every crime scene is going to have DNA, but you don't know if it's the killer's or not. But state police were having difficulty communicating with the sheriff's office about this matter. And if it wasn't for Becky Patty kind of stepping up and saying, hey, and reaching out to Holman directly, they would have never gotten a secondary interview with him. And they even polygraphed him, which was inconclusive. But either way, they vetted this guy, and they don't feel like he has anything to do with anything. But yeah, it was, but it shouldn't be that hard to re-interview somebody that has admitted to being there the day of the crimes. And not only being there the day of, but around the time that the girl, while the girls were being confined by this kidnapper and probably being murdered at that very moment. So it shouldn't be that hard to get law enforcement to do something about it. So even though, Tony Leggett emailed me and then eventually called me, even though that happened, it took a little bit of effort to make sure that anything was being done about it. You talking about that video apparently? Yeah, I mean, people can talk about a video, but I mean, have we seen it? Apparently, there's a video of Kathy saying that she believes he's guilty and all of this, but I haven't seen the video. Take care, Pipers. Thank you for that. Hey, Caricature. Hopefully, you're having a great day at work. Thank you, Mustang. Thank you for that, Augie. Ava. Solid evidence appeals are possible, usually on a technicality. Yeah, a lot of people believe that he's going to be able to appeal. This is a quote-unquote practice trial, just based on the fact that the third-party suspects weren't allowed in. But there's absolutely no nexus that they've been able to prove between. There's no connection, right? So first of all, you have to establish that nexus in order to allow them in. So I don't know how they're going to be able to appeal. On that basis. Yep, many faces of Richard Allen. I think I put something together for that. Oh yeah, here it is. The many faces. Not the many faces, but the many faces. Mother of Dragons. When I work, they are issued by the sheriff's office, and they are all 9mm. That is just our department. Sorry, I was working. Should have been more clear. That is only where we are. And I mean, that makes sense, right? You're going to join the police force, and you're like, well, I don't have a gun. I'm sure they have to issue one. But my point was that it doesn't really matter what type of gun it was. Brad Weber had the exact same gun that Richard Allen has. They tested his gun, and it did not match. Man, they really thought they had something with Brad. He came home. He was off at like 4:30. He came home at around that time, around 3:45. And he's most likely the person who scared away the killer. But yeah, they spent a lot of time on him. They interrogated him, lie detector test, blood test, hair samples, fingerprints. They took all his clothes. They tested all his weapons, his knives, everything. Like, they looked at him really good. But the interesting thing is that he had a 6-hour P226. They tested, compared it to his weapon, and there wasn't a match. That's why he's not in jail, and that's why Richard Allen is in jail right now. Because they did the same thing with him, but they actually found the match. That's why Holman told him in the interview, like, no matter what happens, like, we know you're involved in this. Like, we may not have DNA, we may not have this, we may not have that, but we tested, the biggest piece of evidence that we have, and it matches your gun. So it doesn't matter what you say in here, Richard Allen. We know that you're connected to this crime. And out of his own mouth, he basically admits to being the bridge guy. So now that we have your bullet and basically your own confession, like, you're tied to this. And nobody knows what happened but the killer or killers. Yep, exactly. Nicely done. And that's the same day. That's this photo right here. I mean, he looks like a young person right there. Head up and in a certain kind of lighting. Hey, anything I like? Good to see you. Yeah, Mustang, there's no evidence for third parties. That's why they can't use it. Yeah, because if you can't prove that we're looking at a signature that's runic, that those sticks are actual runes. Then really you have nothing. If those are not runes, then there is no Odinist ritual. It's that simple. Boston looks like she's has a prayer here. Our loving, kind Father God, please bless and watch over the girls' families and friends. Give them strength to go through the next few weeks. Give them rest. Thank you, Boston. Sure, there's going to be people who hear that and they just screech. Call it nails on a chalkboard. Hey, CJK, thank God it's Friday. Candy's Land Creative. Small police force that had never dealt with a case like this. They were grasping for straws. Yeah, I mean, they screwed up for sure. They definitely screwed up a lot. And if it wasn't for the FBI, I don't even think that they would have a solid profile. Looking at every avenue gives a bit of satanic panic vibe from the 80s. No true evidence of Odinism. Yeah, and it's weird. Like, you have people who, when they look at the West Memphis Three, they say, "Oh, these guys were targeted because of satanic panic," and then they go and target, Brad Holder, and I'm not saying these guys are innocent at all. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing tying them to the crime scene whatsoever. They're basically using like a reverse satanic panic. So they're attacking people with no evidence that they're involved in a crime, but yet they want us to believe that they're fighting for Richard Allen because there's no proof against him. It's just this hypocrisy. They're swimming in it. Hey, what's up, kitty cat? Warning about Mata. He said some channel got it all wrong that the jury has not been selected yet. Mata is no. Well, he doesn't have to be a friend. And I definitely don't know shit about the trial process. And I did get that wrong. That's the difference between me and a lot of these people. They get it wrong and they just keep pushing. Right? Yeah, and I 100% did get that wrong. But see, the thing is that we corrected it in real time, and I admitted that I was wrong. But he's still going around saying that there's a nexus and that the timeline is going to be destroyed by the phone being turned on. It's just a lot of that kind of stuff. They'll never admit when they're wrong. And that goes to, I think that's like a sign of somebody being egotistical. Me, I'm okay to be wrong. I'm not an expert. Because if we're here for the truth, it has nothing to do with us being right or wrong. The truth is the facts are going to exist with or without us. The facts are how they exist. They don't need any help from me, and they don't need any help from you. Because it's a fact. It's solid. That water bottle Libby had, I believe, has been said that she was dropped off. Was it missing when they found her? There was a lot of talk early on about a water bottle, but I don't know too much about it. Should play what, Big Fish? The JP video, can you play it? No, because he reached out to me and he told me, hey, man, he's like, look, they have Richard Allen in custody. They have their guy. And he just said, hey, my daughters are getting older now, and I don't want my name kind of bouncing around. So he asked me to take it down, and I did. He has a point. They have a guy in custody, and if anybody else is involved, whether it's these Odinites, Ron Logan, Kagan Klein, Julian Powell, whoever, Richard Allen's going to be how they find that out. It's not going to be some YouTuber. But sometimes it is. There was a case out of Kokomo, Indiana. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of animal crushing. It's basically people who get off sexually when they see animals being tortured. Well, there was somebody who was selling this stuff on the dark web and online. And it was online sleuths and YouTubers who busted them. So that's not always the case. So shout out to those guys. And all they really needed was a tattoo on the person's hand. And I think there's a Netflix special called Don't Fuck with Cats. I think there was some online sleuths that brought that guy down too. And he was kind of doing the same thing, animal crushing. It's basically like a snuff film, but instead of people, you're hurting animals. And if you're capable of that, they also found out that he was like a serial killer. So he wasn't just harming animals. He ended up being a real life serial killer. Yeah, I mean, even some of the suspects had the same gun. It doesn't, And why didn't if all of the 6 hours are going to make the same striations, like they would have had Brad Weber in custody. He was there. He had opportunity. He lives right there. He's basically like the Ron Logan, but with evidence, tied to the crime scene, like a 40 caliber. During the Maxwell search, they tested a 40 caliber firearm too, and it didn't match. It's in that search warrant. That's how we knew about the 40 caliber early on, was because of the Maxwell search warrant. But everybody that knew about it, they kept quiet about it. They knew how important it was. Some people couldn't keep quiet though. Spy Guy. This case would have gone down a huge unsolved mystery if it wasn't for Libby's video. Yeah, if it wasn't for Libby's video, you wouldn't have the witnesses saying, hey, the guy that we saw is the guy in the video. That's why it's so important. They don't need to point at Richard Allen in the courtroom and say, hey, that's the guy right there. That's who we seen, because they really didn't get a good look at his face. But what they did say is 100% the guy that we saw shortly after 126 is also the guy that we see in Libby's video. And it just so happens that Richard Allen told Dan Doolin that, hey, when I got there, I saw these girls, and those are the girls that saw him. So he basically kind of snitched on himself. But without that video, they wouldn't be able to connect it. 100% Spy Guy. Mustang says, I'm sorry, but if Elvis Fields was BG, those women, those girls would definitely remember that face. Well, doesn't mean that he wasn't part of the crime, right? There's just nothing there. There's nothing that puts him in Delphi. There's nothing that puts him at the crime scene. That doesn't mean that the evidence isn't out there. It just means that I haven't seen it. Oh, yeah. People were tipping in everyone. A lot of people were focused in on Brad Holder. And you can see why. I mean, the stuff that he was posting, on Valentine's Day, his son was connected to Abby. And then when you find out about the sticks and you have people saying, oh, well, those are runes. Anybody that thought he was the guy, their confirmation bias is just going to overpower them, unless they have self-control. And that's what happened. Everybody wants to be right. But the moment that you can just get rid of that, like, hey, and if you can be intellectually honest about certain things and you don't need to be right and you remove your ego out of it, it doesn't matter anymore. Because then you can see what facts are and you don't have to push an agenda. Like me, I'm not pro law enforcement. I'm not pro prosecution. I'm pro victim and victims' families and friends and truth. So I would never close the door on this whole Odinism theory. I would have never closed the door on Anthony Schatz. I wouldn't even close the door on some unknown suspect. But right now, we're just following the facts and we're discussing, things that we can prove. If I can't shake it and wave it around in the air, I'm not going to talk about it. Hey, Hiawatha. Good. I wish I could sleep in. I'm up at 4 a.m. every day, no matter how much sleep I had the night before. Todd Click has been arrested. Really? What the hell was he arrested for? That's crazy. Todd Click has been arrested. Posted on Discord. If I open my Discord, it's going to cause a bunch of issues on my computer. Can you shoot me an email or anything? Or just put in some information about it? Maybe I can look it up. What the hell was he arrested for? It says here, Todd Click is a former Rushville Police Department officer who testified in the Delphi murders investigation. He was not arrested. But here's some information about other people with the name Todd Click. Curtis Todd Click in May of 2024. Click was sentenced to 20 years in prison for dealing a controlled substance that resulted in the death of Christopher L. Noble. So I don't know. That's just the first thing that popped up. Can you shoot me an email about it? That's interesting. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to grab some water. We're going really long and my throat's getting dry. All right. Sorry about that, guys. What's up, Susie? And one thing is, if other people were involved, that's going to be a huge bargaining chip for Richard Allen. But right now, I don't think that I think he could have done this alone. I also believe that others could be involved. Yeah, I agree with that too, Boston. If he's the person that killed Abby and Libby and was able to get away with it for 6.5 years, what else did he get away with? You know, people who stick up for Richard Allen, they say, oh, well, he has no criminal past. Well, Watts didn't have any criminal past. Peterson didn't have a criminal past. BTK didn't have a criminal past. Yeah, that's true. Psychopaths, torturing animals, lighting fires, things like that. I think they call it the McDonald triad. Includes wetting the bed after the age of 12, which does happen, and it doesn't mean that you're a psychopath, you know, but those are just some of the signs to look for. It's just something they all have in common. Doesn't mean that you are a serial killer. It's just something serial killers have in common. Anna says, I just Googled Todd Click, arrested a Todd Click, age 36. Yeah, that's the one I was reading here. Curtis Todd Click is the one that I found, but I just did a quick search. Yep, I agree with that, Sarah. And that's how they begin to hide. You know, they're torturing animals or dissecting a pet, and everybody around them shocked. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? And then you kind of, you know, these psychopaths turn around and they're like, what? You don't think that this is neat? No, man, I'm going to puke. Like, you need to go see a doctor. And from that moment, you know, they now know that they got to keep this hidden. Or they might say certain things, you know. And before they know it, they're just living in their head. Everything is in their mind. They're fantasizing about it, thinking about it. But it's all internalized. Murder Sheet just dropped a new episode on it. Okay, yeah. So I mean, this could be somebody else. So let me know what you find out. That'd be interesting. Yeah, Charlotte, people laugh at me when I talk about you know, the sketches and Richard Allen's nose. Let me see if I can find those sketches and I'll put it up on the screen. Let's see. Oh, I might already have it pulled over here. Delphi sketches. Okay. So yeah, they laugh when I bring it up, but you guys can be the judge. I mean, he has a very like specific type of nose. It's like the tip is like bulbous. That's the one thing about Richard Allen is he has the tip of his nose is really large and rounded. And here's one of the sketches right here. What do we see in the sketch? Just saying. Because you have a bulbous nose, does that make you the killer? No. Just something to look at. Yeah, CJK. And that includes if Richard Allen's an innocent guy. But I mean, the information that we see is damning against him. The only people sticking up for Richard Allen and who don't believe that he should face justice, right? They're not giving the prosecution any opportunity to plead their case. They tell us, hey, well, don't convict Richard Allen. You don't know all the facts. Well, they're willing to set him free without listening to the facts. So, I mean, what's the difference? More of that hypocrisy, right? But yeah, definitely. And I keep saying it time and time again. The dude puts himself there. And if they can match his bullet to that gun, 100% he's part of this crime. Can't get around that. But that's if they can prove it in a court of law. And if for whatever reason, they don't have to prove that he's innocent. They just have to prove that he's guilty. What's that Mustang? Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Posting that crap could have slowed the investigation. My goodness, was that cruel? Thanks for the email. I'm going to pull this up right now. Oh, shit. Official misconduct. Wow. Yeah, it might actually be Todd Click. It says forgery. What's that say? Child abuse or neglect? What is this dated? Yeah, this definitely is a Todd Click from Rushville. But it says 2023, so I don't know. Either way, that's interesting. Oh, today, not old stuff. Oh, okay. So maybe he was arrested back on, because I was sent something from my case about Todd Click in Rushville saying official misconduct, fraud, and neglect. But this was from December of 2023. Maybe he was rearrested for that and recharged. So yeah, if you guys have an article or anything like that, just shoot it over to me. We'll take a look. Welcome in. Is it Jobu? Needs or Phil? Jobu needs or Phil? So apparently it's on a Murder Sheet podcast. If anybody wants to sneak over there and get some of those details, I would put it up on the screen, but one time they threatened to copyright strike me. So I don't mess with any of their stuff. official misconduct. Sleuth needs a mini fridge packed with drinks next to his computer desk. I had one, but it broke. It was a piece of shit. But I don't mind going downstairs because my dogs like to get in. My wife is sleeping in. She has the week off and she's sleeping in. And our new dog, Indy, who was a rescue, we actually rescued her live during a members live stream, if you guys can believe that. He can be bad. He likes to grab things off the counter. He has like his little dragon hoard where he takes stuff outside and puts it in a pile. And anything made of wood, he just likes to chew it up. He's still a puppy. You know, he's a huge love dog. He's adorable, but if you leave him down there alone, he'll run amok. So I kind of use that as an opportunity to go down there and check on him. And sure enough, he's getting yelled at right now. So falsifying abuse or neglect information. Wow. Hey, Anna, if the Delphi offender believed the victims made him do it, he is unlikely to feel guilt. If substances were involved, he may be able to rationalize and black out the whole event. Yeah, I think we are dealing, if Richard Allen's the killer and everything that we know, I think we're dealing with a real psychopath. Somebody that feels no remorse, somebody that feels like he's smarter than law enforcement, and somebody who is able to hide it. Anybody, if he had any remorse, he's not going to be able to sleep at night. His life is going to get worse, not better. But if we're dealing with somebody who actually did, get their life back on track, because everything we've recovered about Richard Allen on Facebook through his wife's Facebook is he kind of looks like shit in 2016. There's no sign of him. There's not one mention of Richard Allen in 2017, other than the end of 2017 when his daughter gets married. That's it. That's the first time you start seeing Richard Allen again. And then all through 2018, they're hiking, they're on vacations, they're going to Tennessee, horseback riding, and he looks healthy. He's not skinny. He doesn't look like he's doing a whole lot of drinking. No, definitely it doesn't look like he's on drugs. But at the end of 2016, to the contrary. CJK says, I just read that this Todd Click was arrested and Brady violation was mentioned. Yeah, it's going to make it hard for him to be any kind of a witness in the Delphi case. Not seeing that Murder Sheet episode. Is it members only? Well, they don't really keep up on their YouTube channel. You have to go to their website. I think it's like murdersheet.com or something. They keep that up to date. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's murdersheetpodcast.com. Looks like they have an episode from today. Yeah, it's titled Delphi Murders. Defense witness Todd Click is arrested on unrelated matters. So here, I'll post their website here. That way you guys can go listen to it and report back. Interesting. Yeah, somebody sent the my case. I think it was you, She Warrior. Thank you for that. Maybe I can pull that up, huh? But that's from 2023. Yeah, whatever. We'll take a look. Oh shit, that's a felony. Okay, the reason they're talking about it and the reason they know about it is because there was a motion filed today to set bond. That's probably how they heard about it. Let's see. Let me zoom in this in for you guys. Can you see that okay? It's really large for me. Okay, yeah, it looks like you guys should be able to see that. Alrighty. Yeah, felony 6. Well, it says it was filed in 2024. Where did I see 2023? Okay, I must have been what you sent me, She Warrior. I was like having trouble reading it. It was a little bit blurry. I think it was the charges originally were in 2023. But the case was just recently opened at the end of last month. But yeah, look, they're dated the 20. That's what I was seeing. So official misconduct, a public servant knowing or intentionally. That's just some serious shit. Yeah, this is not going to help the defense's case. Yikes. Forgery with intent to defraud. Falsify child abuse or neglect information or records. Jeez. Dang, I wonder what's going on. That's very interesting. So that's everything on him. Felony 6. Filed September 26th, very recent. Damn. That couldn't have come at a worse time for the Delphi defense team. Motion to seal public records. Probable cause affidavit filed. I wonder if anybody can get their hands on the affidavit. I would like to see that. They put out a warrant for him on the 27th. Looks like they got him in custody on the 27th. And then he went to his first hearing yesterday. So that's how Murder Sheet probably heard about it. Damn. So if anybody has the probable cause affidavit, let me know. I would like to see it. You guys may have first heard about Todd Click during the release of the Franks memo. Let's see here. This was put out in the defense's Franks memo. Have further indicated they may never be able to figure out who this professor is based on large part upon this mystery Purdue professor's opinion. The Delphi investigative leadership claimed that it essentially abandoned considering Odinite involvement in the murders. And then the years passed. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. Thankfully, right? During those passing years, law enforcement officers Kevin Murphy, Greg Ferenczi, who has since passed away, died protecting his fellow officers from a terrorist attack. And Todd Click continued to pursue the truth. Because of their curiosity and investigative efforts, the evidence establishing the names of likely murdering members of the Odinite cult became known to the Delphi investigative leadership no later than February 2018. But also, you had Todd Click make a public statement later saying that nobody in law enforcement ever thought it was a ritual killing. So, very confusing. Yeah, maybe we can find an article here. Maybe I'll be more specific. Yep, nothing. I'm not finding anything readily available. Anna, that's what they're going to say. Anna says maybe the Odin set up Todd Click for an arrest or something. Oh, Lord. And you know what? It's funny. And the only reason I'm laughing is because that's what they're going to say.
This is some trippy ass shit, Holmes.
He's on Vine link to Ripley County Jail. Okay. Yeah. If you guys have any details, put it in the chat. It's definitely the Todd Click, Rushville officer. Turbo has posted on X about Todd Click in custody. I follow Turbo, so let me see if she has anything on there. Here it is. Looks like she's just sharing the Murder Sheet podcast, and then let me see. She has another post here. Basically, the My Case information. So yeah, everything that she's posted, we've shared on screen. But yeah, if you're not following Turbo on X, I recommend that you do so. She stays pretty current with the Delphi case. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything on there that we haven't already talked about. Yeah, that's right, Augie.
Directly to the killer who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
in Ripley County Jail. Sarah says, I've also noticed that in pretty much all the sketches, they make an effort to include a distinct bulbous nose as well. Yeah, and that's all I'm pointing out. I'm not saying if you have a bulbous nose or if you possess a nose that you're guilty. I'm talking about a specific nose. I mean, why have sketches if you're not going to point out specific features? You know what I mean? Anna says, well, there's another conspiracy theory in the making. And I know it's the only reason I'm laughing because as ridiculous as it sounds, that's what they're going to do. That's what they did about Ferenczi. They said he was murdered to cover up the fact that the Delphi murders were a ritual killing. There are actual people who are pushing that narrative. So as silly as it is, it will happen. So we laugh about it like it's a joke, but I guarantee later today, guys, it's not even going to, within 24 hours. And if you guys find it, send me a clip of it because I'm telling you right now, people will say that. You want to know what we know? Well, soon you will. Sounds like you could be talking to... Well, what's really strange is I have this photo, which looks like it's from the 2018 presser. And it looks like Richard Allen is there. It appears as if he's there in the background. And at one point they say something about, here's the guest of honor. And then I have this photo that looks like Richard Allen's there. That's the 2018 presser. And then in 2019, they do a press conference right across the street from Richard Allen's neighborhood. Like they do it in a church, and the person who runs that church is Richard Allen's neighbor. And they make everybody sign in. And this is the first time they've done that. Everybody that comes into that presser has to leave their name and pieces of information. And then they make that comment. So let me see if I can find that photograph. I'm not saying it's him. I'm just saying it could be him. It looks like him. I could be wrong, but I mean, if you ask me, it looks like him. Yeah, I'm so disorganized right now. It's ridiculous. I did do a video on it. Maybe I can pull up the video, but just give me a second here. I might be able to find it. Maybe this is it. Yep, here it is. Okay, so it was right after we did a live stream and we rewatched all the pressers. So I got this idea, like, why are they asking if he's in the room? The killer may be in the room. So I went back to Twitter and I tried to find all of the behind the scenes photographs from any of the pressers prior to the 2019. And I saw this short little guy in the background. Not this short little guy, but this other short little guy right here. Kind of peeking his head up over the cameras. So it made me wonder, why are they saying he could be in this room? Why are they making people sign in? And why are they doing the presser across the street now from, turns out was Richard Allen. And right before they started, they had a hot mic situation. They go, "Well, here comes the guest of honor," is what they said. You got Randy Gravett right there. You got Greeno. And you got somebody that looks like Richard Allen right here. I'm still trying to find out if this... Yeah, it looks like it is him, Susie. Yep, it's breaking news. Looks like the offense happened the end of last year, but at the end of September of 2024, they decided to pursue it, or maybe they finally had enough evidence. But it looks like the incident is from December of 2023. But yeah, it's definitely him. You were definitely right about that. The guy that I Googled was just what popped up, quickly. So let's do a little comparison here. I don't know. You guys can be the judge. Welcome in Jojo, Silas, Stingy. Yeah, if you look at the My Case, for whatever reason, it has the actual, I don't know if the charges or the date that it happened. It's dated December of 2023, but then it has them maybe pursuing the charges now or making the decision to make an arrest the end of last month, and then they finally got him into custody here yesterday, and then today it looks like they set bond. Thank you, Copper. Yeah, if anybody needs to send me any information, or if you need to correct anything that's been said, or you feel the urge to prove me wrong, like I said, if you can, I'll put it up on the screen. There's my email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Yeah, it could be, Susie. Just read an article stating McClellan was looking into Click's personal files to see if he has credibility, could be impeached as a Delphi witness. Oh yeah, his credibility is in question now. Sarah, the Discord is for members only. Sorry. Charlotte says, absolutely, Sleuth. The apex and is not in true proportion to the dorsum. My opinion only, of course, especially has significant distinction to other examples. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Talking about his nose? Annis's family has asked, is that creepy guy still following me? Think about it. When and where did they identify him as creepy? Previous interaction, where was he following? South end of the bridge. Yeah, I forgot to bring that up because somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat and I was started thinking about it. Did they run into him on the trails? Did they run into him on the north side of the bridge? Like, at what point did they have an interaction with him? Was he already on the bridge in the photographs that were taken? Was he, behind the photograph, the first photograph that Libby took, and then he passes them, and then she takes another photograph of Abby? Like, what if he was on the bridge with them that entire time? Jojo says, throwing this out there, Brad Holder and Nick McClellan are Freemasons. Yep. So, they must be in on it together, right? If Todd is arrested, the defense can claim it happened now to oppose the Odinist saga. Yep. Jojo says, Sleuth, anyone who hurts animals for fun like that is a psychopath. The only difference is that one life is legal and one isn't to kill. Well, it's illegal to torture animals. It's not like they're out there hunting or something. Yeah, and I'm going to go watch the Murder Sheet podcast when we're done here. We'll probably hang out for another 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it is the Todd Click. He's facing felony charges. It's a big deal. Made the comment on the bridge. A glance would answer the question. It's just coming to a head, I guess. My case issued a warrant on the 26th of... Yeah. Looks like the issue happened at the end of last year, and then I don't know, maybe they found more evidence. Maybe they were looking to discredit him and they found some damning information. I don't know. Crazy. Yeah, that's breaking news for sure. Thank you for sending that over. She Warrior and Susie, thanks for bringing it up. Sports bras are common. I think most women own a few. Yeah, and it would make sense that she had one on, considering that she was wearing the clothing that she had from the day before, and she was playing baseball. Hey, Cindy, what's going on? Yeah, so apparently Todd Click has been arrested. Let me pull up the my case information again. Some serious charges too. felony 6. So it looks like he was originally charged December 21st of 2023. And the charges were official misconduct, public servant, because he's a cop, knowingly or intentionally commits. Here, let me see. And apparently the probable cause affidavit has finally been made public. So if you guys have it, I would like to see it. Send it to me if you could. If you can send it to me within the next 15 minutes, we'll put it on the screen. Forgery, intent to defraud, falsify child abuse or neglect information. So yeah, they're basically accusing him of being a dirty cop. Oh, here we go. Look at this article. They were investigating Todd Click to discredit him regarding the Odinism. And so it begins, the conspiracies to defraud Todd Click. First, they killed Ferenczi. Yeah, lots going on, Cindy. So let's see. Let's go through here. Chronological order. Case opened as a new filing. So I don't understand about what's going on with these charges and the date on those. But the case was opened on 2024 of last month on the 26th. Motion to seal the arrest warrant. Order granted to seal. Probable cause affidavit filed. And they put a warrant out for his arrest on 27th of September. Looks like he actually showed up on the 27th. And he had court today. Motion to set bond. There you go. That's everything on it. But that's breaking news. Apparently, the murder sheet put it out. They did a podcast on it today. If you, I left the link in the chat. Yeah, it's a big deal growing. He's going to lose his job. Might even do some jail time. Yeah, it says here the charges are official misconduct from a public servant, knowingly or intentionally, forgery, falsifying child abuse or neglect information. So I wonder if he put somebody in jail stating that they were abusing a child or something like that. So everybody's calling the Delphi investigators corrupt and all of that. Well, I guess technically he was one of the investigators, but Anna, they finally got him. They finally got Click. The damn Freemasons got his ass. So he's in Ripley County Jail as of October 3rd. Thank you, Susie. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sarah, that makes a lot of sense. Ha, forging signatures and runes, perhaps. Yikes. This is going to be bad, Boston. I agree, Augie. What's up, kitty cat? Let's see if Goosey has the integrity to tweet out the documents about Click. And we don't mention other people on this chat. Those people don't matter to us. They have an agenda, and the truth isn't part of that agenda. You won't see anything that goes against their narrative. Ever. Growing says, Sleuth, I live in a neighboring county. There is a state police post right there in Ripley County. State police doesn't play. Good. Yeah, if he's a corrupt cop, get his ass. Any of the investigators on the Delphi investigative team, if any of them are corrupt, get their ass too. There's no room for that. But it's just funny that they've been accusing, the people who are trying to prosecute Richard Allen, and they say they have evidence against him. They're trying to call them corrupt when one of the guys that they were supporting is literally in jail now for being a corrupt cop. You see how that works? That's why I don't ever mention trolls or people who talk shit about me, because usually those things tend to work themselves out. Like certain YouTubers who like to talk shit about me, I just noticed if you just be patient, eventually those things will work themselves out. Karma has a way of taking care of people. I don't need to say anything. I just sit back and, I truly believe that we reap what we sow. And karma has a way of doing its thing. I don't need to say anything. I don't need to talk about a troll farm. I don't need to do this or that or the other. All I got to do is sit back, keep my mouth shut about ad hominem attacks and personal attacks. And usually people who are creepy and do that kind of stuff, they're going to go ahead and put their own foot in their mouth anyway. I don't need to do anything. I just sit back and wait. KDB. Right? See, all we got to do is sit back and it just finds a way to work itself out. Oh, man. Just like with Richard Allen, it's going to work itself out. Yeah, Turbo's pretty good. Nobody's perfect. We all have our faults. Like me, I'm rarely right. I don't need to be right. I'm just here to report. You might not agree with it, but I am a journalist, regardless of what you have to say about it. And Delphi is not the only case that I've investigated or that I've looked into. I've had plenty of times I've broken news on my own about the Delphi case through my own investigation. So, regardless of what your opinion of me is, you can talk about me all day, and I'll continue talking about the facts. And as for you trolls, all we got to do is sit back. You guys will handle it on your own because you're obviously triggered and something's wrong with you anyway. So you're just going to go ahead and step in mud. You're going to step in the cow pie all on your lonesome, all on your own. You don't need a push from me. Because usually if you're online attacking people and not the facts or not the case facts or not dealing with the case in it alone, and you got to attack people who are covering the case, there's definitely something wrong with you. And if you're acting that way, like I said, you don't need help from me. You're going to step in the dog shit all on your own. Let's not be 100% sure that Richard Allen is guilty. I've said that a million times. That's why I always say if Richard Allen's a killer, and then I give you the reasons why I believe he's most likely guilty. But we never say 100%. At least I don't. How can you trust the prosecution and all that? I don't trust the prosecution at all. And I'll say it again. I don't know how many times I got to repeat myself. We are not pro prosecution, and we are not pro law enforcement. We are pro victim, pro victims' families and their friends, and pro truth. Now, if anything that we've stated is incorrect, you have my email address. I won't hide it. If you can send it to me and I can wave it around in the air, I will gladly stand next to you with those facts. But don't misquote me. And frankly, I'm wrong all the time. How many times has Anna corrected me alone? How many times has the sleuth crew corrected me? Probably 10 times just today. That's the price you pay for participating in my platform. You have to suffer through my opinion. That's it. That's the price you pay. But we've chiseled out a safe space here, guys, and that's what it's all about. I don't need to be right. Yes, I have an ego, but I've learned to set it aside. Justice for these victims like Abby and Libby and all of the cases that we cover. We don't only cover Delphi. It's just right now it's crunch time. But that's what it's about. It's justice for them, not injustice for falsely accusing people. Saris is not at all bragging, but I always thought he was hiding in plain sight. He looked like a local in the photos, knew the trails well, all pointed to him being local, was only a matter of time. Yep, I agree with that. Not to mention where the crime happened, right? You know, somebody local had to know that location was there. And even if the girls mentioned, "Hey, we're going to the Monon High Bridge," these people they would have had to known where that is and what the hell they were talking about. Kate B. Murphy better watch out. He's next. As funny as this all is, guys, it's real. They're going to say that. They're going to say that this was a Freemason conspiracy and they set up Todd Click. If you don't think that this is coming, it probably already being written right now. Somebody is scripting this for their next live stream as we speak. It's a conspiracy. Guaranteed. Yeah, not to mention Richard Allen. He's kind of proven that he's suffering from some mental health issues. That's one thing we've learned about him.
He wasn't right in the hat.
Hang tight, guys. I have some food that was brought to me, but I'm not ready to log out yet. I'm just going to go grab it and I'll be right back. Alrighty. So if you hear me go quiet, it's because I'm chomping away. Charlotte says, I like Turbo. She seems like a truly lovely lady. Enjoy to listen along to her updates. Me too. Annis is down in Arizona. Lori Vallow Daybell is demanding a speedy trial, but the defense says they cannot because terabytes of discovery. Yeah, that's just an excuse. Cindy says, I remember a show Sleuth did on sketches. One was a drawing of a guy, and he didn't have eyebrows. It's not always features someone has. Sometimes it's a lack of. Yeah, it's a good point. Maybe. No, Susie, that's what we do here. Thank you for breaking that news. That's what we're all about. We like to report the news. You may not believe it or not, but that's what I do here. I'm a reporter. I don't work for some mainstream, it's alternative media. You might not think I'm a journalist, but I am. You may not agree with that, but it's the fact. Thank you, Yankee. I appreciate that. Thank you for your support. Hey, Daisy. How you doing? Yeah, if he was going through a rough patch when he committed these murders, maybe he didn't have his hair cut. Maybe he had kind of a goatee like he has in that mugshot there. Sarah, maybe that's why Kathy Alley removed all pictures and posts. Yeah, there's nothing of Richard Allen in 2017 until the end of the year when his daughter's getting married. And then you have him in like one photo. But in 2018, he's everywhere. He looks healthy. They're out hiking. They're on vacation. So it looks like he did get his power back. Welcome in. Nicely done. Sorry, I had food in my mouth. Oh, okay. That's what you're referring to. Let me see. Let me go back to your previous comment. Saying that wasn't Richard Allen. Well, if it wasn't Richard Allen, it's simple. Just show me who it was. You can't say it wasn't Richard Allen, but I don't know who it was. Expect an arrest will remove from society a vicious career criminal. The local Family Guy CVS manager is not what anybody expected. Nope, not at all. Some people it's hard to accept to this day, right? Thank you, Boston. Oh, are they already tweeting that? Kitty Cat says the internet cranks are tweeting dirty cops retaliating against clean cop. Yeah. See, and as much as Anna was kind of joking about it, the truth is like it's really going to happen. They're going to say that. They still believe that Ferenczi was murdered by this guy to hide the fact that it was an odious ritualistic killing. they're still saying it. And the craziest thing is I think they really believe that, even though there's no facts to back it up. So whatever's going on with Todd Click right now, and this is breaking news, really it is breaking news. Looks like the murder sheet broke this news today, and then Susie was kind enough to share it with us. But yeah, they're going to run with this. They're going to say that he's being targeted, he's being silenced because he's a witness in the Delphi case, right? Jojo says Brad Holder and Nick McClellan are both Freemasons. I don't know. There's a lot of Freemasons, and maybe they do know each other. Them knowing each other doesn't mean that Brad Holder had anything to do with the Delphi case. And I haven't seen any evidence that they do know each other, but they probably do, and maybe they do. But I doubt it. Fishy much? Not at all. The only reason it would ever be fishy is if you can prove that those were runes left at the crime scene. Then it would be extremely fishy because Brad Holder's into that kind of shit. What's up, Jason? Yeah, I don't think he goes to the barber for that shape up. Forehead and the hairline are the same. Yep. Definitely the same barberless shape up. Hey, Daisy, by the way, Howard County School, Indiana coach arrested for CSAM with a student. That's disgusting. Don't trust anybody, guys. Don't even trust me. Don't trust anybody, especially YouTubers. Don't trust law enforcement. Don't trust, don't go around trusting people, especially with your kids. Hey, Sparky, there she is. 13 days till trial. Should be the 17th. On the my case, it says the 14th, but my dumbass, I don't know how trials work for the most part. And that's, I guess the 14th, 15th, and 16th were set aside for jury selection. That's one thing you're not going to get from me is me coming up here acting like I'm some kind of expert, right? We all have Google. We all have the ability to type in a question in Google. Doesn't make us an expert. So that's another thing that bothers me about YouTubers. Oh, you motherfuckers are idiots. You're an idiot too. Just some of us have the balls to admit it, and we don't need to be right all the time. Just most of the time, right? Little Ricky's fade looking busted. It's more of a buzz cut. Kathy says he keeps it that way since he was in the National Guard. But during the murders, maybe he didn't cut it. Funkarella, geez, he wasn't just hiding in plain sight. He was putting himself right out in the public. Yeah, right out in plain sight. It's easy to hide in plain sight when you have no remorse, right? Most people, let's say if they commit a murder and they're not psychopaths, they're going to start abusing drugs. It's going to start eating away at them. And eventually they're just going to come through and admit it or hurt themselves. Could be Mustang. They could have known him, and that could be some of the information that's released during the trial pertaining to the Dan Doolin and the Lost Tip narrative and all of that. Stacy says, I believe on the north side of the bridge could have met them on the trail, and yes, I believe it was behind the girls the whole time. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Jojo says, how do you know it's not a ritual killing? I don't know it wasn't a ritual killing. I'm definitely open to hearing about that. For all we know, Richard Allen conducted a ritual killing out there. For all we know, it was Odinism. The point is that there's no evidence for that. Forehead, hairline, and shape up looking the same. Don't go to his barber, fellas. Something tells me he gets the clippers and does it himself. Or Kathy does it for him. Yeah, kitty cat. They discredit it, but once again, that's just their opinion, you know. You know, you're gonna have you can have 10 experts in one room, 5 of them will agree with you, and then the other 5 will disagree. It's subjective. The question is, you know, who's going to be more convincing? But it's my opinion. I haven't seen any evidence. We've covered a few other cases where, you know, it was a disorganized killer. It was a crime of opportunity, sexually motivated, and he covered his victims with sticks. He cleaned the sticks, and then they were interwoven. Why did he do it? It wasn't part of any ritual, but it was almost identical to the Delphi crime scene. So I don't hear anybody calling that a ritualistic killing. Okay, I'm going to catch up on the chat, and then we're going to bounce out of here. So if there's anything you guys want to add now or bring up, now's the time to do it. But despite the meddlers, Freemasons aren't involved, nor are pagans or Odinists. You know, that we know of. I'm open to seeing proof or evidence to the contrary, and I'll be happy to wave it in the air and stand next to you and bring attention to it. But I haven't found anything like that. Trust me, guys. I that's what I was looking for. That was part of my bias. But at some point, I have to be honest, and we have to follow the facts. But just because we don't have the facts now doesn't mean that they're not out there somewhere. The one bit of sense the expert made is that ritual can also include personal rituals. Yeah. And she was right about that. From within the mind of an offender, need not be recognized rituals established by groups. Yeah, he's not trying to send a message. He's conducting a ritual that has only meaning to him. He's not trying to leave a message. He's conducting a ritual. Thank you, Nana. Yeah, if you guys could, listen to what Nana's telling you. Go hit that like button. Go share this on all your social media platforms. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we have our own little rituals that we do on a daily. I'm definitely a person of habit. Anna says Freemasons are blamed for everything, yet that group is also a source for good. HCC, that's Hoosier Cold Cases. He covers true crime, mainly the Delphi murders. Did a really great video about Freemasons. Yeah, he said he was a Freemason. So I guess he knows Brad Holder and Nick McClelland. But yet he's a firm believer that Richard Allen is being railroaded. Well, at least he's fighting for people to recognize the possibility of that. But yeah, I think he's a Freemason too. It's all a big conspiracy. They've got all angles covered. Cindy Lean says, again, people, the defense has evidence. They are not going to put out what they don't want you to see. Obviously, the prosecution is trying this in court, not in the public eye. Yeah, and I don't want to see an innocent man go to jail, and I'll never say 100% Richard Allen is guilty. That's up to the jury to say, but I believe he's guilty. I believe that they have evidence to support that. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that he's innocent either. Wouldn't that be the other side of the same corrupt coin? Especially when Nick hasn't even had a chance to plead his case. He's waiting for the trial to do that. So nobody's giving him the opportunity, but yet everything that the defense puts out, people take it as gospel. Yeah. Or Satanists or something, some kind of, I think the word non-secular kind of sent people down a weird path. Yeah, we were talking, me and Frank Meister were talking about the F tree before it was ever made public. But the first time I heard about any signatures, it was a K. And the reason it was a K was because people were trying to tie in Kelsey to this. And people, that's what I'm saying. It's the human element. People have their own motivations for lying, for stretching the truth. They've convinced themselves 100% without having actual facts. And in order to get you on board with them, because they're 100% convinced, they find it morally acceptable to stretch truths or to lie to other people to bring them on board. They're sacrificing the truth because they're 100% convinced. So they can lie to you to bring you on board. Some people can't control that. They just do it. Yeah, if you guys want to go check out the Murder Sheet podcast, there's the link there. I'm going to go check it out here in a minute. So I'm going to zip by. Fretless Mayhem, what's up? Good to see you. Darlene, how are you? I'm not being a conspiracist about it. Even if you're pro-guilty, one kind of has to acknowledge that just following Click testifying at a hearing, Nick McClelland did motion for a bunch of info. Stuff resurfaced. Yep. And if he's guilty of a crime, he should be, right? Everybody's digging up stuff on Nick. If they find some dirt on Nick and there's a felony in there, arrest his ass too. Darlene says, Holman we know is, I don't know that. Ethics kind of officer, but it's about, do you have a paper trail? Did you see a question of Click's honesty come up in August? Yeah. They were discussing this on Reddit. Yeah, I did see that. I didn't get a chance to open it up, but I do remember that they were questioning something about Click and his record. Now we know what they were referring to. Yeah, I remember that, Anna. Damn you. I hate when you put that shit in my head. Shame on you, Jason.
All right, youngster, out you go.
Don't come back.
Ever. Oh, yeah. People talk shit about me all the time. That just means they're threatened by me for whatever. I mean, it's not like I'm some kind of expert, or half the time I don't really even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it did take a lot of effort to create this platform. And I did it for the family of victims. And so that all of you guys have a voice, as long as you don't act like a triggered troll, you don't attack the families, and you can agree to disagree, and you can stomach my opinion, you're welcome to be here. Yeah, they're desperate. Even though you haven't given them the opportunity to plead the case. You've already made your mind up, but anybody that's made their mind up about Richard Allen, they're the bad ones. That's called hypocrisy, Jojo. Andy Kane says, imagine coming onto a channel just to troll. Yeah, I don't like, if I don't agree with people and then I have a louder voice, I guess they're intimidated by that. They got to shut me down. I've had people try to dox me. I've had people harass my wife. I don't understand it. Go right ahead. Like I said, people that do that, it takes a certain kind of a person to be that type of a troll. And we don't need to say anything to them. They'll take care of it all on their own. All you got to do is sit back and watch them step in the dog shit. It's already happened. It's happened recently to people that like to badmouth me. I sit back and laugh, and I still don't say anything about it because I don't have to. These weirdos will take care of themselves, guys. Just remember that. There's no reason to argue until you're blue in the face. Karma. We reap what we sow. I don't even have to lift a finger. I don't get upset. I don't have to get riled up, because people who are acting that way, that's how they live their life. They live their life acting that way in their day to day. And these things have a way of working themselves out. Yep. Fuck the ego. Just like I was wrong about the jury. Like, well, I don't give a shit about that. We corrected it live on air, and I said I was wrong. And it wasn't the first time I was wrong, and it won't be the last. The Sleuth Crew corrects me on a daily basis. That's what it's all about. We need to learn. We need to figure these things out. But most importantly, we're dealing with the apex predator. These predators, they target the helpless, our young children. If we can't learn about our enemy, we're not going to be able to see them coming. We're not going to be able to protect our family. And when it comes to technology, the dark web and things like that, these guys are smarter than you can even imagine. Not because they're brilliant people, but it's because the same way we're trying to learn about them, they're learning how to exploit our family and our kids and how to get their hands on their victims. You think you know about the dark web? Well, they're on it. They're on it right now. They're using technology to hide from law enforcement, and they're targeting somebody's young child right now. They're sextorting a young kid right now all over the world. People are being kidnapped, murdered. That's what it's all about. How do we help protect our family, our friends, our neighbors, ourselves? So these creeps that go on here trolling, doxing, attacking, trying to get people fired from their jobs, there's nothing we can do about that, guys. And don't worry. Just remember what Sleuth said. These things have a way of working themselves out. Just sit back and watch. Get your popcorn, take a step back. It won't even take long in most cases. One of the biggest trolls that was going around hurting the case and doxing and leaking information got arrested for beating up his wife. Now he's completely discredited. There's a reason that they're acting the way they are online, because that's who they are in real life. Just stay away from them and let karma do its thing. Well, the way I look at it, Jojo, it's not going to make law enforcement look better. But when you accuse people of like planting a bullet, and we've covered this plenty of times on my channel, of cops planting evidence, like we cover dirty cops all the time. This is not a pro law enforcement channel. You know, we respect good cops, we respect the process, we respect the Constitution, but we know that 1 out of 10, regardless if it's school teachers, firemen, scuba divers, whatever, law enforcement, 1 out of 10 is going to be a bad apple. But to accuse somebody of framing or setting up Richard Allen, that's a huge accusation. You need evidence and proof. Well, it looks like they have evidence and proof against Todd Click for these charges here. Official misconduct from a public servant, knowingly or intentionally. Looks like he was committing forgery, intent to defraud, falsifying child abuse or neglect information on records. See, they have evidence of this. We're not just making it up or speculating about it. Now, if you have proof that somebody planted Richard Allen's bullet there, if you can prove it, let me see it. I'll wave it in the air. I'll stand next to you and I'll fight with you to get these corrupt cops thrown in jail. And also to get Richard Allen released. But that's not the case. I'm doing well. Why are you so sleepy? All right, let me zip on down here. Let's go to Stacy. Sleuth, most people or locals didn't know where the Monon High Bridge is. That's what I've heard. He's greasy. That's why we call him Slick Nick. I think his license plate says the boss. Doesn't mean he's wrong. Yeah, I don't know if it was just teens. I think anybody, if that trail was near me, I would definitely cross that bridge all the time. Like I would have fun crossing that bridge. You know, so when law enforcement asks the question, why Delphi, why the Monon High Bridge, why the bridge? It's because somebody was familiar with that area. They knew the area and they were comfortable crossing that bridge. Nobody's going to walk across that bridge with their hands in their pocket, smoking a cigarette without having done it before, in my opinion. There was definitely a confidence level there. Hindsight is 2020, right, darling? Kate B. Sleuth, you're one of the good guys. Even if you're wrong, your heart is in the right place. You want justice. That's it. And I'm prepared for an acquittal. I don't know about you guys, but I'm prepared for that. Slick. That's why he's Slick Nick, guys. The bullet didn't show up a week after the investigation. So you're getting your facts wrong. They have the bullet marked from the 14th. They found it the day they found the girls. And they have a chain of custody to that. You don't need to lie to try to prove a point. What sound? All right, guys, I'm going to give a big shout out to all my sponsors today. No effects. Thank you for the email. I'm going to get back to you today. I'll go ahead and let you know. I'll answer those questions for you. Nana, thank you. Very generous. Growing, very generous. Yankee, thank you. Very generous of you guys. And Boston, thank you so much. Very generous. All of my members who continue to support my channel. Those of you who keep donating to the Cash App, thank you. You guys make it possible for me to continue spending my time doing this, creating this platform, covering these cases, especially the Delphi case. Couldn't do it without you guys. Hey, Boo. Good to see you. Gail, welcome in. See if there's anybody else I missed. Yep, that's right. Family annihilators frequently do not have criminal histories. The second they decide they meet somebody new. They meet a coworker and they fall in love and then they just want to kill their old family and start a new one. It's fucking weird. But the mind of a psychopath is a strange thing. Thank you, Boo. Red Queen, what's up? Good to see you. Thank you, Shiori. You take care as well. Holman tried to have her killed. Oh my, these people are fucking nuts. Nuts, 100%. Stacy Skinner said, Sleuth, my son and I walked back and forth several times. It was pretty easy as long as you pay attention to your feet. Yeah, that kind of stuff for me isn't hard. I know some people struggle with heights and stuff, but yep, that's true. None of your business. Whoever did this was comfortable not only crossing the bridge, going down that creek, and going down the hill, crossing the creek. Cheers, Purple. I agree with you on that. Thin Mint. Later, Gator. Thank you for that copper. I appreciate that, and all of you who do support me. Thank you so much. Hit the like button on the way out. Anna says Ruckus Rocks insists 2 blood drops were found in a shed at the Webbers. Contained DNA of both girls, unknown male. Also a rumor that offender stashed his blue jacket in that shed. Well, I haven't seen that. Like I said, if I can't shake it and wave it around in the air, I'm not going to support it. But we do love Ruckus Rocks. But when it comes to me, I can only trust what I can hold in my hand. You got it, Sarah. All right, guys, I am out of here. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Kitty, with the super chat. Keep the Delphi coverage coming. Thank you, Sleuth. I appreciate all of you guys. And I'll see you on the next one. So if you're part of that replay crew, you know what to do. Leave a comment. We'll get back to you. And if anybody wants to reach me privately, you can do so by emailing me at sleuthintuition@gmail.com or gmail.com. And you can go check out my website at sleuthintuition.com. And until next time, guys, peace out.